Rob here from daishotactical. Today I'm doing a video on how to clear opposing open doors in the hallway. I get asked this question from time to time. I think people ask because it is a shit sandwich. It's kind of a tough situation. I don't have a safe answer. I have a safer answer. But make no mistake, there's going to be some compromises here when you're dealing with something that's challenging like this. Fortunately, in the real world, open opposing doors like this is very rare. It doesn't really happen that often. I'll explain that more later. But I'm going to show it to you because I think it's a good case study. I think it brings up a lot of, it's a good teaching moment, and it's a good way to kind of show some concepts that apply to everything, not necessarily just this situation here. So I'm going to start this. The first scenario is going to be, I have 4 people, at least 4. I have plenty of bodies. Not short on manpower, so I can put as many muzzles in as many directions as I need to go. In this case, I have 2 opposing doors. They're both open, and I don't have any stimulus telling me which one is kind of the one I should prefer. And also, to make things even worse, there are center-fed rooms, so I got these deep corners here that I got to worry about. That's called the narrow to narrow. That's a concern. But I got 4 guys, so I got plenty of bodies. Here's how I would do it. I would have these 2 on the outside. These guys are going to do long cover for most of this, which means they're holding down here. Now, theoretically, can one guy do that? Yeah, one guy can do it, but this guy's going to have a better angle on people down here, and this guy's going to have a better angle on people down here, and so on and so forth. I got 4, so let's use them. And these guys are going to do cross coverage on the opposing room that's across from them. The issue is this deep corner here, okay? This guy can't solely focus on this. He still has to keep a leery eye on this spot right here, because if there's a guy sitting there, he's going to be exposed to that narrow to narrow. So, I mean, shoulder check it, take a look at it, but his primary focus is going to be here. Here's where it gets tricky. As these guys move down the hall, and it's going to be kind of like a formation like this. I don't have enough fingers. But just like with the T intersection, sooner or later these guys are going to go from doing cross coverage to snapping and then working that specific room. And when that happens, these guys who are on the outside working long coverage are now going to have to flip to the inside, and now they're doing long coverage on the inside there. Other than that, it's exactly the same. So from that point, these 2 guys are going to clear this room, and these 2 guys are going to clear this room at approximately the same time. It's really important that this secondary person that is covering long is also covering the other exposures and sticking with this guy as they work around and then ultimately snapping in here, covering the room, and then coming back out. I know it's a little bit complicated. I did a quick video on door kickers so you guys can see what it actually looks like.
Lock and load. Take them down. They're here. Take them down. No contact. Tango down. On your way. Straight down.
Good job. We're done here.
So now we're going to switch to something a little more difficult. We're going to do the same scenario, the 2 open opposing doors, but this time with only 2 good guys to do the clearing. Now here's where you got to answer some questions. You got to kind of think about it a little bit. One option is for each person to just, do your cross coverage, right? Like we did before. And then as they get here, they'll snap and start covering their rooms. And then each will do a solo clear on each of the adjacent rooms. That is one way to do it. The problem with it is now these people are essentially on an island and there's no help. So I don't really like that method. I prefer to have these 2 stick together in a wingman principle. This would be like kind of standard wingman, and this outside person has long and theoretically cross coverage, and then they're going to move and they're going to clear this like so, and then clear the room and then go to the other one. That's generally how I think it should be done. So some issues with this approach worth noting. Your traditional wingman is slightly behind your point man covering long. With this setup and with threats on both sides of the hallway, if I have a bad guy sitting in here threatening this direction, this bad guy is going to pick up your point man before he picks up the wingman, before the wingman can cover that exposure. That's an issue. Additionally, if I have a bad guy in the narrow to narrow here, depending on how these 2 are lined up, this bad guy is going to pick up the wingman before the point man. So you got people exposed to threats that they can't really address immediately. So there's going to be some amount of shoulder checking and glancing both ways by both people. There's nothing we can do about that. It's just the nature of the fact that we have more angles than we have eyeballs to put them in. So here's a quick door kickers video showing you how I think this should be done with only 2 good guys. The bad guys are in the same position as the last video. It's worth noting that The last video I basically set it up, did one run, and everything worked out fine, so I just cut, clip, send it. With this one, I actually had to do like 8-9 runs of it before I had one where nobody got wounded, nobody got killed, because there's just more exposures than there are guys to watch them, is what it is. So, here it is.
Lock and load. Let's do this. Take him down.
They're here!
Down one. Looks clear. X-ray down. Down one. On target. On target. No tangos. X-ray down.
Good job.
So now we're going to cover how to clear this solo and deal with this problem. This is going to be like dating in your 30s, okay? Perfect is gone, it's not coming back, and you're going to have to make some compromises. The issue is that as a solo person, you have to cover the long exposure, the cross coverage exposure, and the narrow all by yourself. So there's going to be a lot of shoulder checking, a lot of divided attention. That is not good. That is not ideal for safety. So personally, how would I clear it? I would start with the room on the left because I like to clear it to my left because I'm right-handed. That's it. If there's no indication of which one to go to, I'd have to go with that. I would try to stick to this side while watching my cross coverage here and clear this room and then come back out and then clear this room. You're going to be exposed a lot. So here's how it looks on door kickers. It's worth noting that, once again, the same bad guys as before. I had to do like 15, 16 reps of this before I finally got a clean run that I could show you guys on here, because you're just exposed a lot. Looks like this.
Lock and load. Let's do this. Tango down.
Here!
Tango down. Tango down. In position. X-ray down.
Good job. We're done here.
So if you recall at the beginning of the video, I talked about opposing open doors in a hallway is an interesting test. It's very challenging, but it doesn't really happen that much in real life. Well, why is that? Well, in training, we often train on the SWAT side in like old schools and old hospitals and big open buildings, commercial buildings with opposing doors on either end of the hallway. It's very common. Wide hallways, you can put 4 people down at a time. Real world, we don't work in areas like that. 98% of what we do is residential. Residential hallways are a lot more narrow. You can't put 4 people across in that kind of hallway. And in modern residential housing, opposing doors is not that common. It does happen to some degree, but not a lot. Usually the opposing door, if you do have it, is going to be a bathroom, which you're going to be able to see has a tile floor. Also, in the real world, you're going to have context that you can pick up to help you decide which one you're going to want to clear first. For example, you're going to get some sort of indicator. You can hear people yelling, you can hear movement inside of one of the rooms, or one of the doors is going to be closed and the other one's going to be open, and you'll take the open door first because it's safer, and then come back and handle that closed door by itself. Bottom line, real world is almost always some sort of indicator that's going to give you a way to prioritize which room you're going to take first. That's all I got for opposing open doors. Difficult scenario, but fortunately, not very common. Time for the post-video shameless request for support. If you guys like my content, you want to see more of it, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell. You guys know how YouTube works. Better yet, support my channel. Go to my website, daishotactical.com. There you can find a variety of products that I make myself at my workbench. I make a variety of slings in a bunch of different colors, quite a few different models. I also make shooting bags. Any money spent at the store really does help me moving the channel forward and making more content for you in the future. Thanks for watching.